Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be my February reading wrap-up, plus 2 books that I left out in my January reading wrap-up. Oops. So the first one is the Avatar The Last Airbender comics. This one is the Lost Adventures. This is like a collection of comics that were released, I think, during the show, because they all take place within the timeline of the show. So it was all like different art styles and stuff, and like mini adventures that the gang goes on. I think I gave this 3 stars. I'm not really harsh with my rating for the graphic novels, because going into them I really just want more of the gang and like the Avatar world, and that's exactly what these give me. But it's not like anything stellar and amazing that like blows my mind like a 5-star book would. But that's The Lost Tales, or The Lost Adventures, sorry. And the second book that was supposed to be in January's, but I forgot about it, is actually a DNF book, and I think that's why I forgot about it. It just it wasn't doing it for me, and that is going to be Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. Y'all, I am actually so disappointed that I did not like this enough to even finish the book, because the other 2 novels by Morgan Matson I read I really loved, but this just wasn't hitting for me. This is about 2 best friends named Kat and Stevie and their wild night in New York together. They end up going to New York City all by themselves with no cell phones, and no adult knows that they're in the city because they sneak out there. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't enjoy this book so much, because as someone who goes to the city pretty regularly, I'm only an hour away, so it's a day trip for me. The thought of being lost in New York where no one knows you're there and you have no way of contacting anyone gave me so much anxiety, and that anxiety really hindered my enjoyment of the book. I didn't get the escapism with this story that I usually get with other books. I just couldn't fully immerse myself in it because I knew the area so well, and like, you do not want to be lost in New York without a cell phone. I would not feel comfortable with that. In addition to the anxiety that this book gave me, I found our main character of Kat just so annoying. I found her incredibly selfish, and she wasn't listening to her supposed best friend, what her best friend Stevie wants, and even what Stevie had to say, and thought she knew best for Stevie when she didn't even know what Stevie wanted because she wouldn't listen. So for those reasons I had to DNF. I think I got about at least 50 to 100 pages in to this, and there randomly I got to the point in the story where there was randomly a 3rd point of view introduced, which is their other friend who I don't remember the name of. But yeah, the book started from Kat's point of view, and then when they got separated it went over to Stevie's point of view, and then randomly went to their 3rd friend's point of view, and it was too much. I feel like there were too many ideas here, and it really needed one solid storyline instead of like 2 separate narratives, because I think the 3rd friend, whose name I am forgetting, that was like a subplot that they decided to delve into. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever pick this up again, mostly because of the anxiety and not just because I didn't like the characters. But from what I did read of this, I think I have a pretty good idea of where the characters were gonna end up anyway, so I don't really feel a need to continue reading this. This is definitely going to be on hold at some point. Now we are officially into the books that I actually read in February, and I have 2 more Avatar comics here. The first one being Katara and the Pirate Silver. In terms of the overall timeline for Avatar The Last Airbender, this takes place somewhere along the season 2 timeline. And for me, this storyline where Katara helps some rogue pirates, it really did the same for Katara's character as I think kind of Sokka's master does for Sokka in season 3 of Avatar The Last Airbender, where it shows like the strengths of Katara's character and that she doesn't need to change in order to be a strength to the group, because she's telling herself she has to be tough, she can't be motherly, but that's one of her strengths in this book, so I really like that it highlighted that for Katara. The second Avatar The Last Airbender comic that I read was Suki Alone. Justice for my girl Suki. I feel like not enough people talk about her. I really love her character, so a Suki-based story is wonderful. This takes place in Suki's time at the Boiling Rock before Sokka and Zuko come to save her. Well, they weren't exactly coming for her, but you get the gist. I liked that with this, we got to see Suki as a leader and not just part of like the Avatar gang, because we know she's leader of the Kyoshi warriors in the show, but we don't really see that aspect of her character that much because she's always a part of the bigger Avatar group in the show. So to see her strengths by herself in this was really nice for me to see. And I liked that even though she was in this terrible prison and she ran into some seedy people, she never lost her heart. And that's overall what lent her to helping Sokka and Zuko and all of them leave Boiling Rock in the end. I think I gave both of those 3 out of 5 stars. I don't really see myself going higher or lower with the graphic novels. Next up, we have Kiss Me in New York by Katherine Ryder. This is a YA contemporary romance. Our 2 main characters, Charlotte and Anthony, meet at JFK, where they are both stranded due to a blizzard. Charlotte is trying to get home to England after spending a semester abroad in New York, and unfortunately her boyfriend just broke up with her, and she meets Anthony at JFK where he has just also been broken up with. So this story actually takes place over a 24-hour period, and they both try and get over their exes together as they explore the city. Their dynamic together, Charlotte and Anthony, it kind of gave me Grumpy Sunshine, because she was the more positive person in their duo, and I liked seeing how deep their relationship could get within the 24 hours. I've always loved stories like that take place over a finite period of time. The first thing that comes to mind is the movie Before We Go that Chris Evans starred in, one of my favorite movies, and that's also in New York over a finite period of time. There's something magical about stories like that to me, and unlike the way that Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson felt, where it gave me so much anxiety about someone being in the city, this brought the magic of the city out to me. So I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. Up next, we have Autoboyography by Christina Lauren. This is their only YA contemporary romance that they have written. So our main character is a boy named Tanner. He is in his final semester of high school where he's taking a writing seminar class where the final project and what they're working on throughout the entire semester is actually a rough draft of their first book. And this class is made a big deal because a person in last year's class actually got his book published. So a lot of people in the high school see this as the first step into jumpstarting their writing career. Now, unfortunately for Tanner, he is living in a very Mormon town and he is bisexual. So he feels the need to stay in the closet until he can leave for college because he doesn't want to deal with the judgment that he would face if he was out. But through this class, Tanner meets the new teacher's assistant, who actually is the boy who got published from last year's. His name is Sebastian, who just so happens to be Tanner's love interest and also the son of the pastor. And most of this book is them just trying to navigate their relationship in their town and coming to terms with how being in a gay relationship fits in with the Mormon faith. I ended up giving this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really accurate in depicting the way a first love consumes you and you only want to be with that person and you only think about that person. They're like in every waking moment that you have, and even in your dreams. But more importantly, I think it gave me a better understanding of how hard it is for some people to leave the religion that they grew up with or come to terms with the fact that the religion that they believe in doesn't necessarily align with how they identify themselves. As someone who is not that religious, I couldn't really comprehend why it would be so hard to leave the church or anything of the sort, just because I never felt that connection with it. But I think with reading Sebastian's journey throughout the novel, it made things a lot clearer to me. even though it was incredibly frustrating to see the struggle that he goes through, because he still does very much believe in the Mormon faith, but he is gay and the Mormon church does not accept gay people. And being the son of a pastor, I can't imagine how much more pressure that puts on Sebastian to be a good member of the Mormon church. The only thing that bugs me, and I think this is why I took off half a star instead of giving this 5 stars, is that I would have done something different with the ending. The last thing I want to shout out with this book is that at the very end, Christina Lauren included a huge list of everything that they used as resources for writing this book. So they have nonfiction books, fiction books, and poetry, films, groups, book recommendation sites, and websites for people who might be struggling with coming to terms with their identity or how their identity fits in with their religion. So I really appreciate that they did that for their readers. Alright guys, we moved locations. My foot was starting to fall asleep as I was sitting on the floor, so we're back in my usual chair. But the next 3 books we're kind of going to talk about all together because they are a series, and that would be the Shadow and Bone series, all by Leigh Bardugo. All 3 books are told from the perspective of our main character named Alina. She is an orphan and a soldier, and when we meet her character, her country is going to war basically with this thing called the Shadowfold. It's basically like living darkness, and within it there are these demons that keep attacking and killing people. And as Alina goes into battle against the Shadowfold, she releases magic she never knew she had. And because of this, she is brought into the world of the Grisha, who are people in this world who have magic. And that is where she meets the character of the Darkling. Throughout the history of the Grishaverse, there had been different iterations of the Darkling, all descendants of each other. And the one that Alina meets claims he can destroy the Shadowfold with Alina's help. And through Shadow and Bone, we see how that relationship progresses between Alina and the Darkling, as well as Alina with herself and discovering her powers, and how that could save the world. This is not the first Grishaverse book I read. I think I read these backwards, where I read the Six of Crows duology before the Shadow and Bone trilogy, but it really didn't hinder my enjoyment of the trilogy as a whole. And to be honest, I don't think it spoiled anything for me either, because what people said was a mild spoiler in Six of Crows I didn't remember reading, so nothing was spoiled for me really. If I wasn't already in love with the Grishaverse with Six of Crows, I'm definitely in love with it with the Shadow and Bone trilogy. It just, oh my gosh, the world building that Leigh Bardugo does in these books, it's just, I was transported into another world. And throughout the trilogy, I really enjoyed seeing Alina's growth from thinking of herself as no one special, just this little orphan girl, into the Sun Summoner, which is what she would become known as throughout the series, and the savior, basically, the chosen one, so to say. It is a chosen one trope. The one thing I did struggle with throughout the series is just keeping the magic system straight in my head, because although I came to know what the names of the different Grisha were, there were like categories that each of them were in that I could not keep straight in my head for whatever reason. There was a reference in the front, which was nice to have to refer back to, but more times than not I was so invested in the story that I didn't want to look back in. So that was the one little thing that I wish was kept straight more in the book. Maybe it was just me in my head that I couldn't keep straight, because it was confusing at times. Sometimes it would be referred to their like specific power, and then other times it would just be like the group that they were a part of, and I couldn't keep that straight in my head. And of the 3 books, I think Shadow and Bone is my favorite, and then I would say Rune and Rising, and then Siege of Storm, so it would be 1, 3, 2. My problem with Siege and Storm is that there wasn't as much action as there was politics in this book, which I understand Alina has to get used to her position of power and how to play the game So I understand that, and it was great to see her grow into that power and like fake it till you make it. But I would have liked some more action. Mal, by the way, there's a like secondary character, I don't think I mentioned it before. His name's Mal. He's Alina's best friend, who she's been in love with basically her entire life, who like is always by her side in these novels. He really pissed me off in the second book. No denying it. I was like, you're really annoying me, Mal. Because I wish he would have just talked to Alina about his feelings instead of keeping it all bottled up inside. There was definitely some miscommunication, or not even miscommunication, just no communication on his end about how he was feeling with what Alina had to deal with and the new position of power she was in. And I feel like their frustrations with each other, because again, you only see Alina's perspective. If they had just talked to each other about how they were feeling, I feel like a lot of their problems would have been solved and they could have come to a better understanding about it. Because Mal was just keeping it all bottled up inside and just saying everything's fine when you know it's not fine. But he kept himself closed off, so what is Alina to do if you won't talk to her about it? We do get a new character in Siege and Storm who I ended up falling in love with. He is the captain of a ship that helps out Mal and Alina at one point. And he's just an amazing character. When he made his entrance in Rune and Rising, I was literally kicking my feet. I was like, yay, he's back. And then we get to Rune and Rising, where Alina is fully realized in her Grisha power as the Sun Summoner and is ready to defeat the Fold and the darkness that comes with it. When I say there were tears, guys, there were so many tears reading this book, because throughout the entire trilogy, there has been this foreshadowing that one character is going to die. Leigh Bardugo even said it in, I think, it might have been the dedication in this book. Let me see. Yes, she says, "For my father Harv, sometimes our heroes don't make it to the end." She said that. There had been so many other instances of foreshadowing. She even said in Siege and Storm in the Q&A at the back of the book that one character does not make it. So my anxiety was through the roof because I didn't want anyone to die. So when it happens, because of course the way foreshadowing works is that you build up to it, I was sobbing. Insert clip here because I had to get it for you guys. I really don't want to read Mal's eye, but if I'm going to do it, you guys are going to witness me do it, because I know there are a lot of people who didn't like the ending to Rune and Rising and the trilogy, but I found it really satisfying. I don't think it betrayed the story that it was trying to tell at any point while still giving the characters what they deserved. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sap who likes happy endings, but overall, I love the series so much. I would give the entire series 5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely a world that I miss being in and would definitely come back to in terms of rereading. I am already going to start reading King of Scars very soon. It's literally on the nightstand as we speak. Just an amazing cast of characters, both main characters and side characters that you just come to know and love like family. So if you haven't read Shadow and Bone yet, please do. And lastly, we have Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo, illustrated by Pendergast. This is a graphic novel about the origins of the Darkling. So staying in that Grishaverse, I really like seeing the reasoning why the Darkling became who he was, like that whole nature versus nurture thing. Perhaps it's a bit of both for the Darkling, but the illustrations are gorgeous, and the way his powers were illustrated and everyone else's powers in this reminded me a lot of bending in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I'm sure that contributes to why I love this world so much. And through this story, I can really see why the Darkling made the choices that he did in terms of how he created his like Grisha army, and but also how he was always a strategic thinker and always thinking one step ahead. So it was cool to see that and see visually the world of the Grisha. But anyways, guys, that is it for this video. If you want to see more of me, all of my social media is linked down below. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful morning, noon, night, or day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!